On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tacova store. So stop by Tacova's Nashville, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tacova's Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacova's. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Nashville, with Mayor Freddie O'Connell's transit referendum set to hit the November 5th ballot, we decided we should finally figure out what's in this thing. So we brought in an expert. The Nashville Scene's cover story this week is all about Choose How You Move, and reporter Eli Modica is here to break it down for us. We'll also take a quick look at the 4 public safety ordinances that Mayor O'Connell just proposed to help deal with our ongoing Nazi problems. Will they help? Let's hope so. I'm also joined by CityCast Nashville executive producer Whitney Pastrek. And hey, stick around at the end of the show for a quick recap of the awesome event we had last Thursday. We teamed up with the new Tacova store in the Green Hills Mall to host an evening with 3 amazing local musicians and some great food. We'll tell you all about it. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tacovas. It's August 27th. I'm your host, Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Hey, Eli, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Hi.
Hi. So when we did our news roundup on Friday, we were talking about the protests surrounding transit access for the local disability community and wondering if any of that stuff would be addressed in this referendum. I think, like a lot of Nashvillians, we should probably figure out what's really in here and how it will benefit us. Eli, let's start with the easiest question. What is the purpose of this transit referendum?
The purpose of this referendum is to get cars off the road.
Is that official or that's just your analysis?
That's my political analysis of, the between the lines of what the mayor has said and other planners I've spoken with in reporting on this. Talked to most people in Nashville, and they also are trying to figure out a way to solve this problem, though I think many say there aren't good alternatives. So that's where this plan comes in, alternatives to personal vehicles. And it's really based around expanding the access and the service to the city's bus network, as well as some other tweaks like traffic signals and complete streets.
Right. And that's something that my friend Rachel, who has been knocking doors for the Choose How You Move referendum campaign, they're kind of running it like a political campaign. She's been out canvassing, but she kind of yelled at me because I kept saying transit referendum and she kept saying, no, it is a transportation improvement plan, not just transit. What do you think are some of the most important distinctions there? Like, how can that help people reframe that in their mind?
The easiest way to frame it is that we're signing over a bunch of money that's getting leveraged for even more money during a really particular political moment. A lot of federal dollars are also going to hopefully be captured for this project. And that's kind of an opportunity or a limited time offer. They're like these grants and some of this money, it's only available for a certain amount of time. What we really go to the ballot box to decide is, are we going to agree to a 0.5% sales tax increase? And then that money is what the official planners and the mayor have to play with to try to improve transportation in a lot of different forms in Nashville. So that's really what we're deciding. Like, are we willing to pay 50 cents on every $100 grocery bill to make things better? And then, of course, when you go and you get that, right now, 9.25% added to whatever you're buying, it's going to go up to 9.75%, which is where it is at many surrounding counties, as many journalists have pointed out. So that extra, it's technically a regressive tax, and it has positives and negatives. One of the negatives is that this 50 cents for $100. If I only have $100 to spend a month, that's a much bigger portion of my budget than if someone who has $1,000 to spend a month. So based on your income, it's proportionally affecting you differently. The positive would be that anyone who came in from other parts of the state or country would be paying this as well. So that's where you hear like, this is going to capture some tourist spending too.
Just like with everything, always, there are people opposing this. Who are the people that are opposing this and why are they pushing back?
Well, one of the interesting things is that we haven't seen the typical coalition that opposed the 2018 Let's Move referendum come back.
And do you think that's because it's not focused on light rail, which was the point of contention back in 2018, but it's actually just this smorgasbord of other options? Like one of the things that got brought up in y'all's reporting was this idea that so many of our existing bus stops now are just like a metal pole stuck in some dirt on the side of a road. Like I saw a woman standing in like knee-high weeds waiting for a bus. And those are some of the improvements that will come from this too, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy thing to latch onto if you're trying to oppose this, because a lot of it is expanding things that already exist. And much of it is also improving the experience for people driving personal vehicles. So this is really like the question of the way Nashville transportation will shift. Are we going to convert drivers to bus riders? And the bet is obviously yes. We can get more bus access and more sidewalks for the same price as light rail per mile. And so it's just like at the end of the day, you only have a certain amount of dollars to work with.
Yeah. And we're also building these transit centers, which are super cool. And there's one already almost finished in North Nashville, the Patton Transit Center. And if anyone's driven past there, it's gorgeous. It's got big windows and safe spaces for people to sit inside and air conditioning while they wait for their bus. Eli, how do you think that's going to impact people's willingness to get on a bus?
I wrote in my piece for the cover story that it's a proof of concept that the O'Connell administration, I think, was planning and hoping to get done a bit earlier. But the grand opening is this week, I believe. It's meant to show people, or one of the functions that it has, in addition to being a functional transit center, is to show people like, you'll get more of this if you come vote. We're going to get more of these things. Like, isn't this a nice, shiny thing? Doesn't it work really well? Doesn't it improve your experience? We're going to get 10 to 12 more of these, which I think is the number quoted in the plan, if you all come out and pass this. So yeah, it functions on two levels. It is an important hub for people to transfer buses so they don't have to go downtown. And it's like an example of a changing transit system.
So we got an email from a listener after Friday's episode. She's a wheelchair user who depends on the bus to get around Nashville. While she says it's undeniable that the whole plan is going to benefit people with disabilities in general, she also says that it's, in her opinion, it's clear that WeGo access is not a priority for the mayor's office. Eli, have you heard anything about the administration taking measures to address the concerns of the disability community in light of the recent protests?
There was a very big board meeting in July that I watched, and that was probably the most comprehensive amount of information that I got about this, as well as an interview with John Bulb, who is not a driver any longer because he had a nerve damage in his eye. So what I learned from those meetings is that the city does offer accessibility rides where you can get someone, a personal driver, to come to your door, and then they can bring you, I believe, to a bus stop. The city is in flux as far as what the best way to do this. And so we heard from a lot of people at that meeting about different, I believe, a contractor mobility solutions. And a lot of people at that meeting spoke very positively of mobility solutions. But based on who you are or your needs, like, you know, it's never a one size fits all thing. So being able to get more places faster, like this listener said, is going to benefit everyone who uses the system. But I have not seen that as a priority of this plan either.
How would you guys see these improvements helping you specifically on an individual level?
I don't have to sit in my car in traffic, and I do take the major boulevards to get to work, get to East. I live in Sylvan Park, so to get to East Nashville, I definitely plan whenever I'm going down a corridor to use the bus instead of my car. Especially if I can take my bike on and off.
Really?
Yeah.
If I knew that the bus was going to show up every 15 minutes on the 15 minutes reliably all day and all night, there's a chance I would take it. But right now, if it stops, you know, at 1 a.m. or whenever, and if I go downtown, I don't know why I would do that, but let's play a pretend game of Whitney went downtown and I want to hang out late night, then I'm forced to Uber home, right? So I will vote for this, but I really hope that it is the first step towards a whole lot more.
You know, I feel like when you say taking the bus from downtown, I think obviously that's going to be a big group of people that shift into using the bus that don't otherwise use it. Because I think that is a perfect example of what a pain in the butt it is for me to take an Uber, what a pain in the butt it is for me to drive. I would love it if the bus is easy. We're already having all of these problems downtown with violence and people being too drunk. Like, are we going to start having people fighting on the bus as they travel from downtown? You know what I mean? Like, the bus out of downtown is going to be rowdy in an awful way. I don't know how we deal with that if we have to say you can't be too drunk to take the bus, but those are the people that I want taking the bus.
Well,
you know,
I think that the alternatives have to be sufficiently painful, like expensive in terms of Uber or Lyft, or not really viable in terms of personal vehicle parking or whether you're drinking, like there are in other major cities.
Yeah.
Something that I directly pitched the mayor, Freddie O'Connell, based on my market research, is that I think, like you gestured there, Whitney, a lot of people don't go, or some people don't go downtown. However, there are places that like could be connected in the city.
Yeah.
And I think that whether it's promotional or it's just like meant to get people riding the bus, I think that there could be some fun, strategically planned routes between dives on the west side and then East Nashville, or like bars or Rosemary, Beauty Queen, and
Never
Midtown or something.
Like if I could take a bus from East Nashville to Wedgwood, Houston, and not have to go downtown Houston and transfer, Bastion. I would do that in a hot second.
Because you are really trying to get wealthy 20 and 30 somethings, because that's a lot of the people who have moved into Davidson County, onto a bus. So I think it would be interesting to try to plan what routes they're trying to go and make it a better alternative than an Uber.
And Freddie would like to remind us that it will also help with the traffic signals, and we'll get more green lights, which would be good. And then again, just being able to have more sidewalks, because that benefits everybody.
Yeah. And the traffic thing apparently is somewhat of an embarrassment among the planning community in Nashville, from what I've heard talking to some of them.
I don't want anyone ever to be self-conscious, but I do think it's a fair thing to be embarrassed about. But there's more things that are embarrassing about Nashville. And when we come back, we'll talk about the mayor's new plan to fix one of them. On Friday, Mayor Freddie O'Connell announced 4 new public safety ordinances aimed at addressing our ongoing neo-Nazi problem. You might remember that back in July, we had a few weeks where it seemed like out-of-town alt-righters were popping up constantly, distributing hateful flyers and marching downtown and even disrupting a council meeting. We asked Freddie back then if there was anything we could do about this, and it seemed like his administration had come up with these 4 measures in hopes that they will make it inconvenient for Nazi demonstrators to show up here. The first one prohibits placing any unauthorized sign, signal, or marking over a highway. What is this stopping?
I mean, it's stopping them draping flags or banners or whatever over those highway overpasses, which was something that happened multiple times in July. Will it help? I don't know.
Yeah, my experience, mainly informed by going down to the council meeting when these Nazis were there, is that specifically the Nazi group that was disrupted that meeting, they're smaller than you think.
Yeah.
Like in numbers.
They were all staying in one Airbnb in Kentucky, correct?
They're not like local Nashvillians. They were on a tour of different cities.
Oh my God.
And this was one of the more interesting things, is that like I asked why they included Nashville, and they were like, because we have so many allies here, and they had this perception that it was such a politically aligned
so friendly.
City.
Ew.
Right.
Gross.
So, but the point being, I think that the way, and it was clear that they were closer to provocateurs than like an organized ideological political movement.
Right.
They were not getting power from like their winning people over in real time. They were getting power from getting attention. And so when I read these ordinances, it struck me as not a solution in search of a problem, because obviously these Nazis are a problem, but targeting things that were very specific to these instances, that in very like broad terms that could potentially be applied to other types of protests.
Right. Well, yeah, there's that. And also just like people put up signs on overpasses for like their wrestling show or their band or whatever.
Or like memorializations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of, I don't know.
But here's what I'll say to your point, Eli. I mean, I think the Nazis came here on their Viking cruise of American cities because they thought that they had, allies here. But maybe having these sort of nuisance laws on the books. And here's a couple more of them, like addressing the hours when handbills can be distributed, which I guess is to stop them from throwing, anti-Semitic flyers onto lawns in the middle of the night. Or they've updated the mask code to make it clear that you can wear a mask for religious purposes, you can wear a medical mask, and that's it. So now there are these little nuisance ticky-tacky things on the books, or hopefully will be if these get passed. And does that telegraph, though, to our neo-Nazi tourist visitors that, like, actually Nashville is not a place where people agree with you?
No, I think they see it as a win. I think they see look what we got them to do.
Yeah,
because the problem is not like, well, there are ways in which they cross over lines, like when they got kicked out of the meeting, and that was well within the rights of council members to do because they were disrupting official business. But they're very aware of their free speech protections, and they know what they can do and they can't do. And really, the problem that we have to address is the like ideological aspect of it, and we have to condemn, and we have to make sure that they are met with hostility towards their beliefs, not trying to like change the rules so that they can't do what they want to do.
Yeah, because Nazis are famously law-abiding. The last one that Freddie has proposed is a buffer zone around public buildings and parking lots. And this is the place where I really feel like this can backfire, because you can't create a buffer zone for one group of people and not create them for all people. And in fact, in yesterday's morning edition of the Nashville Scene, Betsy Phillips actually had a Pith in the Wind piece about these ordinances. And she made the good point that we just named a plaza downtown after civil rights leader Diane Nash, who would have been violating such a buffer zone when she marched up to Mayor Ben West and confronted him about segregation.
Yeah. How would this affect, like, I'm picturing like picket lines and that kind of stuff where we're purposefully, as a peaceful protest, blocking off entrances. Is this just government buildings in terms of public buildings, or is this like, what does that apply to?
We would have to wait to see how it's litigated in court, if it is ever.
Yeah.
But would it prevent people from assembling on the courthouse lawn during council meetings?
If the government chooses to prosecute under it, and in that situation, then potentially.
Does it make either of you feel better that we have a mayor who is at least trying, as imperfect a solution as this may be, but is at least trying to do something about this? I mean, the alternative is that we have a mayor who doesn't mind that Nazis are coming here, I suppose.
Yeah. I feel like this is the lowest possible bar that we could have in terms of there could be a mayor that's cool with Nazis.
I don't really think that it makes me feel better. I think that the speech, like the words and condemning the Nazis, obviously, that's how you set a line. And, the mayor did that and council members did that. But then like going to change the rules, it doesn't necessarily make me feel better, because I don't feel like it's really going to change the future interactions of Nazis if they choose to come back to Nashville in any substantive way.
I hope it does. But I mean, we'll see with time.
The good news is maybe they'll have a much more robust public transportation network upon their next visit.
Yeah, don't need U-Hauls. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Eli. We really appreciate you coming on and explaining all this stuff to us.
Yeah,
this is important.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You'll be hearing a lot more about it over the next couple months, I imagine.
Thanks, Eli.
All right, so last Thursday night, August 22nd, CityCast Nashville took over the new Tacova store at the Green Hills Mall for an event we called Nashville in Stereo.
Woo!
So fun.
It was so fun. First of all, I loved seeing you, Grace, and the rest of our team. Marie, our producer, was there, and Margaret, our newsletter editor. I loved seeing everybody in person because we do so much work over Zoom, and it was just so exciting to see that everybody has legs.
I love seeing my legs in my new boots.
Your boots were sweet. Tell people about your boots.
I got the Annie in black.
Yeah, you did.
I showed up and I said, I want brown boots because I have all these black boots. And you know what I did? I got black boots.
Heck yeah. And you know what? They looked hot. They made your legs look super long and hot.
They fit over my calves, and that's like really all I can ask about any boot ever.
That's absolutely huge. It is clear that our wonderful exclusive launch sponsors, Tacovas, have in fact put some thought into how they make these boots look, especially on the ladies.
And I put a lot of thought into my custom branding. I put a little heart on the back of mine. Cute. You can do it in store. It's pretty cute.
And it was cool because they were doing custom stamping and leather branding and all that stuff throughout the whole night while we were there.
A lot of people started doing it after they saw me do it. 100%. After they saw the little heart on the back of my boots.
But we had these great performances. I loved Nick's performance. If y'all aren't familiar with Nick, he has the voice of an angel. He played his song Drunk Text that is blowing up on CMT.
So much heart, so much warmth. What an incredible song.
Get off my phone. Who is this? No Saturday night, but damn, it's 3 a.m. It's been too long since we were kids. It's just a little drunk text. That's all this is. Thank you. And you can catch me and the band this Tuesday, August 27th at 2 p.m. We'll be performing that on Today in Nashville. So please tune in. Check us out. It'll be a fun time.
And then your close personal friend, Sam. I love her. I'm so glad you introduced us to her.
She is the cutest, and I love her dearly, and she makes fantastic music. And she's so authentic. She's so conversational, but also smart. You know, like her.
Yep. No, that's exactly the word I would use because it's like stream of consciousness, but it rhymes.
Yes.
You know, but it sounds like she's just talking, but that's the lyrics to the song.
Beat me up, I'm so ready for something extraordinary. Beat me up, I can't wait. I swear that I am not afraid.
And then last but not least, we had the incredible Alex Wong. His songs made me cry.
Everything he does gives me goosebumps. Every single thing.
His song about You Have Permission, which again, you should listen to his episode, but it's all about learning how to take up space in our everyday lives. We have permission to take up space. So I was just crying in the Tecovas store. It was totally normal.
I also am like an absolute sucker for an audience participation kind of
Yes.
thing. And the connection, like philosophically, of having audience participation in a song that's about having permission to use your voice was like, I don't know if that is exactly the intention behind it, but I bet it is because he's such an intentional person. And I always get chills when I hear a room of people singing along.
I know.
Scream it out loud. Let your voice crack. Cut through the silence and take it all back. You can take up space. You don't have to wait for it to be given. You have permission.
And we had delicious snacks. Let's shout out Loveless Cafe.
Yes, please.
They brought some awesome pimento cheese, some
Incredible
shrimp ceviche,
key lime pie, cheesecake bites.
cheesecake bites. Ugh. It was just a
Big
great
fan of that.
event. The store smells great. It does smell like that handcrafted leather. Not kidding.
Yeah.
They're not lying. In our ads for them, we are not lying.
The staff is also so friendly.
Oh my God, so
like,
nice.
Genuinely, I made friends. I have new Instagram followers.
Yeah.
It was very fun. Everybody was very helpful.
So we want to thank everyone who came out. We want to thank everybody at Tecovas, especially the folks who work in that store who made it such a special night for all of us. We want to thank our performers, Nick, Alex, Sam, and most of all, we want to thank you, Grace, for being the hostess with the mostest.
please.
Your MC work was on point, and you kept the night rolling and made it fun. So thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Whitney. Wow. I appreciate that. I was nervous. I had note cards.
We can't wait to do another one, though.
I know, right? I'm so glad also that Tecovas wanted to do a music event for this because just like us, just like CityCast, we love community and music, and it was such an awesome intersection of all the things that we love and all the things that they love. It was so aligned. It was beautiful.
Yeah, agree. And we got to showcase 3 artists who are not conventionally what people think of about Nashville, but all of them looked hot in their Western wear, gotta say.
All right, that's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Y'all go pick up this week's Nashville scene and read Eli and his colleagues on the transit referendum. And if you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news around the city. Bye.
Bye.